Black lives matter! 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 Black lives matter!
I feel like 2020 is a year of rebirth. It feels like lies are beginning to die and the truth is beginning to rise.
I want to address the current situation that's going on now. I feel like maybe my voice might make a difference.
Because the truth is, we do have active hostility and oppression against people because of their race.
I study ancient history, so I understand the importance and relevance of knowing the past so we're not doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past for the future.
You know, this whole situation has made me realise the fact that we're still fighting for justice in this day and age, it's crazy to even think about.
This movement is basically telling people to wake up.
People need to wake up, and they're starting to, which is incredible.
I've been absolutely overwhelmed with gratitude for the magnitude of the response to George Floyd's murder and Black Lives Matter.
Since when has it been a right to kneel on an innocent man's neck as he dies slowly and painfully and calls up for his mum? What kind of human being thinks that's alright?
For some, hearing about it isn't enough, so that's why seeing is said to be believing. That horrific video of Floyd's death sparked so much uproar in both white and black communities alike. Black people are disgusted that one of their own had to die again at the hands of a white man whose job, may I remind you, is purely to serve and protect. And then white people are sickened that something like this can even occur in such a well-developed society.
And because this sort of racism isn't as overt in the UK as it is in America, lots of people are like, oh, we're not racist, look at them, they have guns, they're shooting people, we're not doing that.
I know the US and the UK are incomparable, but the UK is not innocent.
I mean, some people are still oblivious to the fact that racism still exists in the UK. People don't think it's as prevalent over here as it is over there in America, but that's simply not true.
In 2018/19, there were 78,991 race-related hate crimes reported in England and Wales, a figure that continues to increase every year.
Stephen Lawrence and Belly Majinga are just two examples of black people subject to racist attacks over here, and both of which just did not receive the adequate justice required.
The colour of your skin greatly impacts your experience.
We are in a very sensitive time, and I'm so happy that now people are having this conversation about racism and the effects of it.
This is so much more than a black square on your social media. This is so much more than just posting and reposting. This is informing yourself, it's informing others.
So a lot of people tend to shut off and get defensive when they hear the word racist or racism.
This is not an attack on individual races. This is basically an attack on corporations, media, systems that basically condition people to believe that black people are less than. It's an attack on your subconscious racism, biases towards black people.
Just little things that pass other people by are just a part of your reality. We live a political life. Anyone in a marginalised group lives a political life, not through choice. To constantly be met with interactions with white people where they can just go, oh, I didn't think of it like that. That's a luxury, that's a privilege.
So racism can be defined as prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior.
I know for me, I never used to see myself as equal with my white counterparts and my friends. I'd always assume that what comes out their mouth will be taken more seriously than what comes out of my mouth. And even if we have the same thing that comes out of our mouths, that they will always be taken more seriously.
It seems like we're just defined by the colour of our skin. And that's the problem.
To anyone who's experienced racism, it's very dehumanizing because you don't understand why being black is a crime. Why is it society hates you because of your skin color? It never made sense to me, and it still doesn't make any sense to me to this day.
Being mixed race, I faced prejudice and racism as a result of that. I've been on the receiving end of explicit racism and constant microaggressions. that become a part of daily life, and you only realise that you are on the receiving end of prejudice and bigotry when you explain it to someone who doesn't understand firsthand.
And that basically goes to show that because racism isn't so blatant in today's society, just because there isn't obvious segregation and laws aren't segregating blacks and whites, just because that's been abolished doesn't mean that people's minds have changed. There's people that lived in that generation that still live on, and they teach it down to the next generation.
You think that just because we're shades darker than you, we're not a part of society?
Being followed around the shop because it's believed you're more likely to steal something because of your skin colour.
Black people have the anxiety of going into a shop and making it seem like they're not stealing.
People being shocked that I am articulate.
Because black people have been seen as uneducated for so long.
You're perceived as scary or intimidating or more likely to attack them.
Every time when I'm walking on the street, I always move out the way, because I'm afraid and scared to think that someone sees me as a threat or that I'm going to do something, and that's very sad.
Why do you feel scared towards a black person? Why won't you talk to a black person as comfortably as you would talk to a white person?
Employers passing on our applications.
Black people live their day-to-day lives questioning whether they should write their full name on their CV or disclose their race for it to be more palatable to society.
Now, I was born in Zimbabwe and I moved to the UK when I was about 5-6 years old. When I moved to the UK, I was actually bullied because of my skin colour and because of my hair texture. Now, I didn't really understand. I used to bath multiple times a day, and I used to really scrub on my skin. And my mom asked me, why do you do that? And I responded, because I want to be like them. I want to look like them, meaning I wanted to be white for me to be accepted.
We're taught to succumb to just white normality, fitting ourselves in, basically believing that if we want to get anywhere in this society, if we want to progress in this economy, we have to succumb to looking more white, presenting ourselves in a way where society will accept us. And what that does to your psyche and what that does to your self-esteem is just crazy. And there's a lot of black people that have a lot of internalized racism towards themselves.
And my mom was like to me, you can't change your skin, that's who you are. But for me, I knew the reasons why I was doing it, because I wanted to be accepted. I didn't understand why I was being hated because of what I look like and the texture of my hair. Throughout my whole entire life, I experienced physical bullying and verbal bullying. It really affected me so badly. It took time for me to be confident, to be comfortable, for me to be proud of who I was.
See, I might not be fully black. I might be just half Chinese, half Jamaican. You might call me a light skin, a lighty, mixed race. I don't care what you call me, but I know where I'm from and I know what I represent, and that is my pride and dignity and my ethnicity, because it means everything to me.
So when you look the way I do, you can be refused entry into clubs. Content creation apps such as TikTok purposely bury our content whilst promoting people who look in a certain way that they prefer.
Quickly get out your phones and type in on Google professional hairstyles, and then type in unprofessional hairstyles and see what comes up.
Being forced to straighten our hair or wear wigs or weaves because our natural hair is deemed unprofessional for the workplace.
I moved to Leeds for uni when I was 18, and I live in East London, very multicultural. Leeds itself isn't, I wouldn't say it's particularly diverse. I made friends with a girl called Abby, who is also mixed race, basically the same heritage. She's half Nigerian, half white. We kind of quickly became accustomed to the fact that every time we went out, white people would touch our hair. It's so appallingly offensive. We couldn't fathom it, like, why was this happening? We were bitching about it in the toilets because we were just sick of it by this point. This white girl came out the toilets and she was like washing her hands. She was like, oh sorry, I couldn't help overhearing. And initially I was thinking like, what's the big deal? And then I was thinking, actually, if someone did that to me, I would hate it. And I was like, yes, obviously you'd hate it. but you've never had to think about it like that.
Another example that's probably universal across every school is obviously hairstyle. My old school, secondary school, has been on the media for it. It was an absolute outrage. The head teacher wanted to ban cornrows and banned single braided extensions, which is a protected style for black people. And the fact that he was so comfortable to say that in front of the school and say that to young kids was what was crazy. But he was basically kind of saying, you understand what I mean, right? You understand what I mean. When they didn't. So they asked about, what about Afro hair? Like leaving it out, what about my Afro hair? And he was like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. Just as long as you don't make it a fashion statement. What about my hair is a fashion statement? So it kind of shows you that he himself felt so comfortable to say that it's so ingrained in his subconscious that that's a normal thing to assume, that's a normal thing to say to a black person. That's kind of an example of just your subconscious playing a part in being racist and you don't even know.
I cannot stress the actual importance of thinking about your own thought processes. If you're white, challenging your own biases. If you're black, learning about your own history.
Because you don't know how it feels. You don't know what people have gone through. All you know is your white privilege.
It's so scary to me that one day, as a mother, I'm going to have to sit down with my children and explain to them why they're hated. It's not going to make sense to them. And it's not a fair situation for someone to be in.
See, growing up, my dad would always tell me, be wise in the streets, don't get into trouble. But I think I missed the deeper meaning. I think he was telling me that because he feared that maybe one day the colour of my skin might get me in a lot of trouble. And now I understand.
My dad's lived experience and what he's been telling us as we were growing up, the conversations that he would tell us, basically kind of pre-warning us that can't be naive to the fact that we're going to be discriminated against.
Not many people would understand what I'm saying. It's a scary thing and I'm scared. Will we be okay in the future? Are we going to be seen as equal? Are we going to be seen as human beings?
I don't care what colour you are, I don't care what you preach, I don't care what God you serve. We are human beings. I stand with you if you stand with me.
The world has seen the effect systematic racism has on people, and well, the world is crying. The world isn't happy about it.
Black people have been targeted for ages. We've never been seen as equal to everybody else. We've always been bottom barrel in every society.
All these innocent people that have been taken away from their family and friends and loved ones just because of the colour of their skin.
It sucks that blood had to be spilled in order to achieve such a level of resonance in people.
It sort of brings a tear to my eye to see that it's upsetting that it's taken this long, but at the same time I think we're making extraordinary progress. We're doing so well and I just don't really want to see it stop. Let's keep going.
I urge you to educate yourselves and to learn more and hear more from other black people or people of colour who do not mind sharing their stories. Then I encourage you to make a stand, become an ally, join the fight for our equality.
If you want to be an ally, you need to be able to acknowledge your privilege and you need to keep listening and keep being ready to learn.
As sad as it is, non-black people have more power. White people hold a stronger voice than we do. We can speak and speak as much as we want, but it's not until a white person stands up that people maybe start listening. This is why it's so important for people that aren't black to speak out.
But it must be made entirely evident that Black Lives Matter isn't a social media trend. Black lives won't matter more now and less later when something more interesting comes along.
Keep informing yourself, keep reading, keep up the energy that you have now. Don't let it die. It's okay to take breaks, it's okay to put your phone down, it's okay to stop looking at social media for a little bit, but keep up the morale, keep up the energy.
So please keep on signing and sharing and talking and keeping the ball rolling. We can't lose sight of how important this is, because black people can't tap in and out of whether or not our existence is trendy. That's our reality.
I kind of want people to educate themselves on the Black Lives Matter movement, stop the demonization of black people. Yes, there's bad apples in our race, there's bad apples in every race, but you don't see that perpetuated on the media as much.
Now, I'm glad that Black Lives Matter is getting the attention it deserves now, because life simply cannot continue like this.
I read something the other day that just sort of made me stop and realised how incredible this movement is, and it said that all 50 states of America, including 8 countries across the world, participated in Black Lives Matter protests, which I think is just so incredibly extraordinary.
Times are changing. The voices are being heard. The minorities are becoming the majorities.
I want to have faith in humanity. I want to be able to walk out that door confident that I'm going to be okay, that I'm not going to be judged because of my race.
When we say Black Lives Matter, we're not wanting supremacy, but equality, because a black life should matter just as much as a white life.
Because we are all for one, and that is equality.
Black lives will always matter.
Please remember how much Black lives fucking matter.
I can truly see that positive change is going to come about from this, and the world will be entering a new age.
I will suggest some ways that I recommend helping. I personally will not be telling anyone to donate or protest, because I personally think those two things are very much at your discretion. Donations only if you're financially in a position to do so, and protesting, I am aware of the current climate. Please put your health and the health of your family, like your household, please consider that, obviously. But they are absolutely excellent ways to show solidarity and support if you can do so. Check in on your black friends. It's traumatic news, full stop. So if you have that level of connection to the actual incident, it's traumatic on a level you can understand. So please check your friends are okay. Do your research. A good idea to look into is supporting black-owned businesses, making some swaps. Read. Obviously, why I'm no longer talking to white people about race should be a must-have on your bookshelf. Sign petitions. Our voices matter most en masse, and petitions are a great way to show that you're involved. Write to your MP. We're writing to demand a significant reaction from Parliament condemning the police's use of force in the US that led to George Floyd's murder, and also the sale of tear gas, rubber bullets. Make sure you're sharing content on your social media, providing links, making sure that everyone has access to as much information as possible. Please have the conversations offline. Dump your racist boyfriend. To call out your racist uncle, but specifically if you are a white person, you have the privilege and you have the platform to amplify our voices, and there is definitely a reluctance to do things imperfectly, and as far as I'm concerned, doing things imperfectly is infinitely better than not doing anything.
Firstly, I want to say thank you to my beautiful friends for being so brave and inspiring and sharing their stories. I understand it took a lot of courage for you guys to open up, because the movement and the current news has really brought up a lot of bad feelings and bad memories, and so I just really appreciate you doing this. In order to make this video, my friends made videos separately and then sent them to me, and I edited it into this project. I've uploaded these videos on private and linked them in the description below if you want to see the full content they provided me with. Also, Fa and Amy have YouTube channels, and they have both made videos on this topic, so please go check them out. I've linked them in the description below as well. Thank you so much to Jess for filming the protests for me. The videos you supplied me with are amazing, and thank you, Jim, for filming right now. So the reason I made this project was because of the Black Lives Matter movement that was sparked by the murder of George Floyd. After the video of George Floyd was released on social media, we were bombarded with even more videos and footage of white people abusing their power and their privilege to mistreat and cause physical harm to black people and people of colour in general, and it appalled me. It made me so heartbroken to see anyone wanting to hate or hurt another living thing or human being. It doesn't make any sense to me, and all I could think was, I can't do anything about this. At first I was ignorant, like a lot of people, thinking that me being white means I shouldn't get involved. I've always called out on racism when I've seen it happen in front of me, and that is good, and we need to keep doing that, but we need to do more. I'm so glad that this movement has taught me how to be not only not racist, but anti-racist. I've been educating myself and doing my absolute best to try and make a change, which is what this whole video has been about. I understand my white privilege now, and I understand what that means and what comes with it, and I want to use my platform and my voice to amplify those who have less of a voice than me in regards to society. I made this video because I want to squash racism for black people, but I also want to squash all racism, all discrimination, of all races, of all sexuality, all gender, all religions. I just need the world to be full of people who treat others like they want to be treated themselves, and then it'll be a happier place. I've also collected some resources that I've put in the description below. Petitions to sign, charities to donate to, and things to read and watch. These resources have come from my own research and things that I've seen shared by other people as well. I'm really going to try and get this video monetized, and if I do, then all of the proceeds that I make will go to Black Lives Matter charities. Even if I do not manage to do that, please make sure you share this video and get the information out there. The more information shared, the better. Thank you for watching.